Hey, girl. Down on your luck? Girlfriend left you, job's a dead end, spending a lot of time watching whatever YouTube autoplay is showing you. And now you've got some ideas. How about you don't kill everybody? Just do what everybody else does in that situation. Get a podcast.
According to Jon Stewart, Meghan Markle is a miniature Brexit Macron. For those who are unaware, Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, is frequently criticizing Europe for being assertive. Some even say controlling, particularly towards her husband, President Macron. There's even a video where she appears to brush his hand away during an event. So when Stewart brings up this Brexit Macron controversy, it's not just about style or intelligence, it's about the entire power dynamic. When Stewart asserts that Meghan is excellent at slapping her partner anywhere, it creates the impression that Meghan is in charge and Harry is merely following orders.
Next time you get hit by a hurricane, why don't we have a little parent-teacher conference to see that if you got your scores up, you would get the money. Or actually, let's not do it, because you'll get the money anyway, because we're not psych.
It's not just that Stewart made a comparison. The reason this particular comparison hit so hard was because, for a brief moment, when he called Meghan Mini Braidgitrin, he wasn't just being cheeky. For example, in the European media, Brigitte Macron is frequently depicted as a controlling figure, particularly in relation to her husband, President Emmanuel Macron. There's a famous little clip where she sort of brushes his hand away at a diplomatic event. It's a small gesture, but it reinforces the idea that she is the one in charge. By using that label for Meghan, Stewart was drawing on a similar sublimin whether you agree with it or not. Stewart's joke about Meghan being excellent at slapping her man into place and the Brexit Macron comparison really pushed this idea of Meghan being the dominant force, possibly even emasculating Prince Harry, and helped to create the impression that Harry is now someone who follows her around all the time, maybe carrying her purse and nodding along.
Got to have watched some of The Crown, right?
People love it. Yes, I have actually watched The Crown.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
The recent stuff or the older stuff?
The older stuff and the more recent stuff.
Yeah. Do you fact check it while you watch it?
When a well-known person like Stewart, who typically shares that liberal viewpoint, begins making fun of and criticizing Meghan Stewart, it is not written off as a partisan attack because it comes across as an observation from someone who is typically on their side, which makes it feel more credible and more like a legitimate concern than just a jab. Jon Stewart has a sizable following, and a sizable portion of that following is liberal. Guess what? Meghan's team has tried to appeal to that exact demographic. They have built Meghan's brand around being progressive, authentic, and empowering. Do you know Meghan's podcast? Statements from a female founder in essence. Stewart is stating that the podcast lacks substance and focus more on her founding than on real female founders. You would anticipate hearing candid tales on a program like Confessions of a Female Founder, battles and wins real entrepreneurial grit. But the critique claims that it simply failed to convey that the podcast failed to capture the authentic challenges faced by actual female entrepreneurs. It's as if you were going to name your show that you must depict the messy, unglamorous side of starting something from scratch, as well as the sleepless nights. The denials of relentless hustling doesn't resonate if it seems too polished or detached from the real grind. It feels inauthentic. Authenticity is crucial in today's society, especially with podcasts, where listeners want to hear true stories. Real challenges and real guidance listeners quickly pick up on a podcast if it seems to be produced from a point of privilege or fabricated reality.
Podcast, nobody dies. You can still terrorize people. And no, I do not want to be on.
Okay, we've already discussed Jon Stewart's outrageous analogy in his analysis of the podcast, but let's move on to something more significant. How all of this connects to what appears to be a genuine change in public perception of Meghan Markle. You know, Meghan and Harry were all about establishing their own path and breaking free for a while. They really promoted this message of self-determination and authenticity, but many people are beginning to feel that this image is being perceived as fake. After leaving such a formal institution as the monarchy, there's a very high bar for genuine authenticity, and this feeling of it seems like when everything they do feels planned for a certain image, they start to lose that simply being themselves type of feel. This isn't just random online discussion either. Authenticity and empowerment, which were central to their entire vibe, are now becoming less and less real and more produced. Jon Stewart highlights that people are growing increasingly concerned about their authenticity. This isn't simply criticism. It's a sense that their public presence is staged as though they're acting rather than being themselves. And once that doubt is sown, it becomes very difficult to shake when people begin to wonder if what they are witnessing is genuine or merely a performance. It makes them wonder if all the stories they're told are genuinely from the heart, or if they're a part of a larger play. This brings us directly to how all of this is affecting Prince Harry, because, let's face it, you can't discuss Meghan's image without discussing his. Jon Stewart asserts that Harry's reputation is also suffering, and that he is being shown as less important than Meghan. You may recall our discussion of the Brexit-Macron parallel, and the notion that Meghan would slap her guy into place. Perception plays a part in this story. Harry, the former military man who was always a little goofy and a little out of the ordinary, and who had this kind of enduring persona that was his public identity for so long, is now frequently portrayed as simply following Meghan's lead. It seems as though he has lost some of the independent spark that once defined him. Instead, he is shown as sort of following her, possibly carrying her purse, and simply nodding along to whatever Meghan is doing. This isn't just a small change to his image. Rather, it's a fairly significant redefinition of his public role. He has gone from being this dynamic figure to becoming a supporting character in Meghan's story. For longtime observers, particularly those who grew up with Harry as a prominent member of the royal family, this change in their dynamic can be rather startling. It almost seems as though his own agency and voice have been overshadowed by Hayes, leaving people to question whether he is truly content in the supporting role or what his own desires and path are.
It wasn't yesterday.
No,
That was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes.
Now, when you break it all down, the main vibe we're getting is this whole feeling of inauthenticity. It's like Meghan and Harry's brand, which they work so hard to make feel real and relatable, is beginning to come off a stage when everything looks so polished and managed that it loses that genuine spark. You know. That's a difficult place to be in when your entire post-royal identity was about being true to yourselves. Why does this matter? Well, when someone like Jon Stewart, who is respected by many different people, throws some shade, it's not just criticism, it can cause indifference. Think about it. Whether people love you or hate you, at least they are talking about you. However, when people stop caring, this kind of backlash, especially from a powerful person, can make the public go crazy. For celebrities who thrive on attention, losing that interest can be a game changer, as it could mean less public interest and possibly even fewer media deals because the buzz isn't there anymore. This puts Meghan in a difficult position going forward. How do you get people interested again and rebuild your credibility when the stories you've been telling might not work anymore? She needs to find a new way to connect and resonate with people, because what worked in the past might not work anymore. What do you guys think about all of this? Do you agree that Meghan and Harry's image is changing, or do you think it's just media noise? Please share your opinions in the comment section below. And if you thought this video was interesting, please hit the like button and subscribe to Celebrity Tea. I hope to see you all in the next one.